Would you like to improve your out-of-the-box TV picture from this to this? Just by disabling a few TV settings that harm picture quality so much, they should be classified as illegal. The first TV setting to turn off is the sharpness control. Now, some of you may think that this is the stupidest idea you've ever heard, because don't we all want a sharper picture? Well, increasing the sharpness setting on most modern televisions is actually only adding fake sharpness. It works by detecting high contrast edges and then enhancing the contours to give the illusion of a sharper picture. But as you can see from this close-up footage, excessive sharpening can add more ringing or haloing artifacts along high contrast edges, which may be visible even from a normal viewing distance, for example along the mountains in the 4K Blu-ray of Mad Max Fury Road, or around Keanu Reeves in the 4K Blu-ray of The Matrix, making objects and characters look like cardboard cutouts and overly artificial, which reduces the cinematic effect. Furthermore, because the sharpness control on most modern televisions is applied to all contrasty elements without discrimination, excessive sharpening would also exaggerate film grain in movies, leading to a noisier picture, for instance in the 4K Blu-ray of 300, which is famously already quite a grainy movie as per Zack Snyder's creative intent. Here's another example from The Fifth Element, where excessive in-TV sharpening introduced some crawling noise on the faces of the characters, particularly where there's specular highlight. Based on my experience of reviewing and calibrating televisions over the past 14 years, most 4K and even high-definition content are already sharp enough, and adding edge enhancement would just cause more problems. So for the most natural picture from your TV, I strongly recommend setting it to neutral sharpness where no edge enhancement is added at all. The exact setting varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Here is a table listing the correct neutral sharpness setting for some of the more popular TV brands I've tested. The next TV setting you should turn off is noise reduction. Again, this may sound counterintuitive, because you want a cleaner picture with less noise, right? But you have to understand that most in-TV noise reduction algorithms are not smart enough to distinguish between video noise and actual film grain in the movie. So engaging noise reduction would chip away at the film grain integrity, resulting in a more sterile image that deviates from the director's intent. In addition, high levels of in-TV noise reduction can erase some fine detail. Here, I am playing the 4K Blu-ray of Knives Out on a TV with noise reduction engaged. Note how unnaturally smooth and waxy the faces are, and once I paused the disc, the facial detail reappeared magically because the film grain has become static and hence is no longer treated as video noise by the noise reduction algorithm. I will just unpause and pause this scene a few times to let you see the effect. Some noise reduction algorithms can also introduce a smearing or ghosting effect, most visible on facial movements, especially in dark scenes where high ISO camera noise is more pronounced. The third TV setting to turn off is overscan. If I pause this news broadcast footage here, you may notice that the TV on your left has cropped away the borders of the picture. This is the result of overscan, a band-aid that was invented during the analog broadcast era, but really should have no place today on a digital television. With overscan enabled, which is surprisingly the default practice on most modern televisions, you will be missing out on some information in the original video signal, for instance some letters on the news ticker. To make things worse, the TV with overscan engaged then has to scale the cropped image to fill up the entire screen, making the final picture look more zoomed in, softer, and potentially noisier. Again, different manufacturers have different names for the overscan setting on their TVs. I've listed some of the more popular ones in this table, so you can find the setting and disable overscan on your TV to see the whole picture. The fourth TV setting you should switch off is an important if somewhat controversial one: motion smoothing. Some of you actually prefer motion smoothing. Weirdos. But as a purist, I absolutely cannot stand even the slightest amount of motion smoothing when watching movies, because to my eyes, it makes a cinematic movie look like it was shot on a cheap handheld camcorder, creating what is known as the soap opera effect, or SOE. The reason why 24 frames per second has continued to be the dominant language of cinema is because of the dreamy effect it creates. At 24p, our brain can use its imagination to fill in the gaps for a more surreal experience, whereas at higher frame rates such as 50p or 60p, which is what motion smoothing is trying to do, the video would look hyper-realistic, robbing the movie of any cinematic feel. This is the reason why Vinny always filmed me in 24p. If he had filmed me in 60p, then I fear I would look too smooth and cheap. Like that time I walked up to this girl at a bar, whipped out my phone and said, "I've ran out of data, can I connect to your hotspot?" Motion smoothing also has another side effect. Because it involves some sort of motion interpolation which artificially inserts new frames in between the original frames, the calculations can go wrong, especially during complex moving sequences. For instance, in this wonderful tracking shot in Baby Driver, you can see various interpolation artifacts surrounding the opening titles, and also around Baby as he walks his way past different objects either in the foreground or background. And of course, we can't leave out Tom Cruise, who advocated against motion smoothing. My man. So here's a sequence from Mission Impossible Fallout where you can see the motion interpolation causing some shimmering artifacts on the building, besides making the movie look like it was shot on a cheap smartphone camera. The fifth and final TV setting that you should change is color temperature. When I did my LG C1 recommended settings for the Xbox Series X console, some of you complained that a color temperature of warm 50 was too yellow. But you have to understand that warm 50 is targeting the D65 white point, which is the standard used within the film and broadcast and increasingly gaming industry. The easiest way to demonstrate this is by using snow. Take a look at this side-by-side comparison displaying a snow mountain sequence from The Fellowship of the Ring. The LG C1 on your left is using the default out-of-the-box color temperature of cold 20 in standard picture preset. The C1 on your right is using the default color temperature of warm 50 in the most accurate filmmaker mode. Which one is more realistic to your eyes? Hopefully you will agree with me that color temperature warm 50 looked more true to life, whereas the snow on the C1 on your left appeared far too blue. There's nowhere in the world where snow would look like that, not even on Middle Earth. Embracing D65 white point is not only about realism, it's about accuracy. Mastering monitors used by colorists to grade movies are calibrated to a perceptual match of D65, so if you are using the same white point on your television, then you are more likely to see an accurate picture that reflects what the directors, the DPs, and the colorists are trying to convey. On the other hand, if you leave your television running at a bluer white point, which is normally the default out of the box, all colors will look inaccurate, including pasty-looking skin tones. Now, different TVs have different nomenclature and values to target D65 white point, but instead of you having to manually adjust your TV's color temperature settings, and also the other 4 TV settings I've previously mentioned in this video, what if I told you there's a picture mode on your TV that can automatically set all these picture settings to their correct values, rather than you having to do it manually one by one yourself? I'm of course talking about Filmmaker Mode, the brainchild of the Ultra HD Alliance, who have kindly sponsored this video. The UHD Alliance is a consortium of consumer electronics manufacturers who have launched Filmmaker Mode with the goal of delivering a cinematic home viewing experience which faithfully reproduces the creative intent, by disabling all the unnecessary picture processing I've mentioned throughout this video. Engaging Filmmaker Mode on your television is quick and easy. Let me show you how to do it on some of the more popular TV brands which offer Filmmaker Mode in Europe where I'm based. In alphabetical order, LG. Long press the settings button on your Magic Remote. Click on Select Mode. Then click on Filmmaker Mode. Next, Panasonic. Go into the picture menu, go into viewing mode, then scroll down and select filmmaker mode. For Philips televisions, press the settings button on the remote control. Click on frequent settings. Click on AI picture style, then change it to filmmaker mode. On Samsung televisions, press the home button on your smart remote. Scroll left all the way, then click on settings. Click on picture mode, then choose filmmaker mode. Okay, now that you have selected filmmaker mode to obtain the correct TV settings, perhaps the next thing you would like to do is to boost the wired internet connection speed of your television by up to 500%. I've done another video explaining how to do it here.